So like I'm gonna try remember New Year's as best I can as I sip from "This is what an awesome dad looks like" mug. I'm gonna get this sip on the audio. Hang on. That's good coffee going down the wrong pipe. Okay. Jesus. Okay. So the first fun thing about New Year's is that a fireworks ban did not fucking work at all.
Oh no, not at all.
In Berlin.
Yeah.
No.
Was anyone expecting it? The thing that was the most fucked up about that is that I don't know if you guys saw on like Berlin local news, but the police were going. First off, they brought in like the Bundespolizei, and they brought in, which for like people who don't know is the like federal police of Germany, like the National Guard, and then they also brought in they brought in police from like every state to help out with
Brandenburg police came and stuff.
Apparently I also saw last night like police from like Rheinland-Pfalz, which is very distant, and police from NRW came. Every part of the Bundesrepublik Deutschland came. And
I love it. We find out the super spreader event on New Year's was actually because we brought all the cops to one place.
I mean, that is like that G20 thing of like the cops like party, like the Berlin cops at G20 in Hamburg or whatever, like partying too hard or some shit.
This is the only holiday they could have this year because of fucking restrictions.
Oh no, that was like how many years ago? Like
no, but like them coming to Berlin.
Yeah. But no, like they were doing like raids of like Spätis in Neukölln and Kreuzberg for possession of fireworks and shit like that. Like it was insane. We love our police state, our law enforcement. Just gross.
Like, without giving away too much where I live, I can see the only hill in Berlin from like one of my windows, which is a park called Humboldthain, which is this like forested public park that used to be a Nazi base, I guess. And all the fireworks were coming from there. And I guess the logic that like me and my wife determined was that's the only place you could set off fireworks, and if the cops come, you probably could get away. Like you could run away because there's no lights on.
You also have a very defensible position.
Yes, exactly.
Hence why
I've got the high ground, Polizei.
Yeah, hence why Albert Speer built that exactly there.
Yeah, right. But then we heard like very quickly into the night we heard the helicopters come. So that I think that was slightly fucked as a plan. Yeah, it didn't work. I think the only thing that was like done to the benefit was because everyone who was throwing off fireworks, as per usual in Berlin, set them all off at like, I don't know, as soon as it got dark at 4:00.
Yeah. Or like the day before. So, like it normally is like the day before some people start, and they're all like, "Yo, it's the 30th. I'm going ham, and I'm just gonna start chuck fireworks for 3 days straight, going on a firework bender."
They're still throwing some in my neighborhood now.
Yeah,
but like
exactly my point.
I mean, I'm not some of those people who don't like Sylvester. I kind of like it. I kind of think it's cool that there's like these two purge days in Berlin, like this and 1st of May. But like I just love the hubris of thinking they could actually fucking ban this from going ahead. That's what I find funny.
Yeah, they also banned people from going to Poland too. Remember, like you could not go to Poland to get fireworks. Which the border to Poland was already closed anyway because of Corona, so it's like But
they didn't ban people from Brandenburg to go to Poland. They only banned Berliners.
Yeah, I know. How do you enforce that exactly?
Yeah, it's like all you need is like one mate in Brandenburg, and you're probably sorted.
Hey! Happy New Year! Welcome to your weekly Corner Späti, first Corner Späti of 2021. It is myself, Nick, joined with Kieran.
Yo.
And Rob.
Yellow.
And we didn't have an episode last week, technically. So, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy all holidays to everyone.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Happy Kwanzaa, exactly. The most important holiday, though, which is, he did it. Our boy, Santa Claus, a.k.a. Boris Johnson, gave us the present that everyone has been wanting for the past 4 years, which is maybe the shittiest Brexit deal that could have ever existed.
So, okay.
I take that back. Knowing 2020, everything could have been maybe worse, but
It was on your wish list, and Boris Johnson pretended it was a surprise, as if this isn't exactly what you asked for months ago.
Yeah, and also not that they absolutely had to get this done, or else it would have defaulted to pretty much, I think, the same deal that they had.
It would have defaulted to World Trade Organization rules, which would have been fucking chaos. Namely in France and like probably everywhere, but more so the UK. Like a shit ton of businesses would have gone out of business because like suddenly half of their like market was like 20% more expensive or something. Yeah, I can go quickly into this or some of the like fun points about this deal. I mean, there's no fun points. As Rob correctly said off mic, this is Boris basically agreeing to the deal that had always been present, including like under Theresa May's like premiership or whatever. This is not like a startlingly new deal. If you'd asked like some EU law wonk to like imagine what the deal would look like in 2017, they probably would have given you the rough outline of this deal. The thing I do find genuinely interesting, though, is how this deal basically destroys Boris's and like that wing of the Conservatives' plans for Brexit. And this is done in like two kind of major parts of this deal that are both referred to as the level playing field, or kind of sometimes also being referred to in press as non-regression standards. So, or non-regression clauses. Basically, a big part of the deal and what was being discussed for the last couple of months is the UK and the EU trying to prevent like a race to the bottom between the two of them, which was 100% the UK, like under Boris Johnson's plan for how you would make Brexit work, is like, we're going to cut a bunch of red tape and standards so that we're like competitive in the global space, because it's insane now.
It's,
like,
yeah,
whatever.
to make the UK and particularly London just more of a playground for like the wealthy Saudis and Russians who are just like flooding it with, making it unlivable as it already was with them a part of the European Union, but just kind of like fair game for typical just like deregulation bullshit. Like that was always the plan of Brexit, like too, which is like the thing that's always so funny about it is that when you see these just dumb fucking videos of being like, oh, well, I didn't know that Brexit was going to mean I'd lose my job. And it's like, dude, yeah.
The eels.
Yeah, the fucking eels guy that, like Milo retweeted or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it genuinely is shit that then, I think that there's, obviously with, I don't know if we discussed it or whatever. Like, there are fair points about like any country leaving the European Union, obviously, and just
there was an entire like Lexit campaign, quote unquote campaign within the UK, but that was always like farcical because the people holding the keys, like the holding the levers of power in the UK, did not want to do like, oh, finally we're free of the like growth and stability pact. Now we can start like investing heavily in trains or something. That was never the plan.
Yeah, no. It's and it's. I also kind of forgot too because this has been going on since 2016, when was the referendum was 2016. Yeah. And just like all the like weird bullshit that was surrounding it of like the bus going around being that then like we can invest more money in the NHS, like all that like all of the grifting done by the by people like Nigel Farage, who like already had like I mean, regardless of like the racism that was behind it, he's going to benefit too because he's just like a finance dude at the same time as well.
Yeah, he's an asset trader.
Yeah, so like just it really is amazing how many people just got fucking cucked into this thing, and at the end of the day, it just is like, yeah, I don't know, like it really is this kind of. I don't even like. It's kind of like I feel bad for them, but I don't at the same time. I don't know. Like,
yeah. So like the Tory kind of think tanks are already basically, here we are, basically day zero of like Brexit Britain. Well, day two, I guess.
No, yesterday doesn't count. Yesterday's not a real day.
Yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough. Everyone was hungover. We're all tired. No one did anything.
Yeah.
Day one of Brexit. Here we are, the 2nd of January. The Tory think tanks have already basically figured out that, like, yeah, everything we've been talking about in terms of Brexit Britain is not going to work with this deal, namely due to the non-regression clauses, because, yeah, we can't cut, like, labour standards. They also talked about the fact that, like, now since the 2019 election, there's this, like, the Tory working person vote. So they're not really going to go after the EU's working time directive, which is the thing that, like, please limit people's working hours. Don't treat them like garbage. Here's the floor of EU labour standards. Which, if I understand correctly, in the UK, you can kind of just like sign that away with a contract anyway, but still. They're not going to go after that because they don't want to be seen doing that. So it's now interesting to see what the Tory strategy is, and I want to hit some of them with you, right? And kind of, I think this illustrates kind of how like cocked the UK is in this whole deal. The first symbolic thing, actually, of how cocked they were is Brexit went into effect on midnight, January 1st. Central European time.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go. Good start.
Fucking right. You're still
So it came into effect 11 p.m. in the UK.
Still beholden to Goddess Europa.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Hitler's greatest legacy was changing everyone's fucking time zone.
Yeah. Also slight to Portugal, but it's okay.
That is one of my favorite things of like Franco is Spain. My list of favorite things about Franco is Spain. The things I find funny is that then they changed their time to Germany just because it's like, oh, like they're cool and fascist, and it's kind of like fucked up a lot of stuff in Spain for a while.
Oh, definitely as well. France also.
Yeah.
France used to be on Western European time as well until they were occupied.
Everybody, when I'm dictator, I'm going to make it 5 p.m. all day, every day. Vote for me.
I'm going to make
It's
it
quitting
Miller
time.
time all day, every day.
This clock just has 12 Miller times written on it. This is inscrutable.
Yeah. Miller Lite, give me money and beer.
But
no, actually don't. I'm not trying. I'm trying to have a couple of weeks of not drinking here.
Well, when I run my like fascist dictatorship of Miller time all the time, technically all the trains will run on time because they all arrive and depart at Miller time.
Checkmate.
Okay, so some of the things that like they've planned to do is they want to like become they're raising standards of animal welfare in the UK, which is like they're basically going to make import and export of live animals illegal in the UK. They have to be dead first, basically. So, you can still send meat, but you can't send
wait,
cow.
What? Denmark is sending the UK 4 million dead mink?
Brexit bitten baby. It's mink all time. It's Miller time all the time, but it's also time for mink. A great pairing with Miller. So yeah,
just lounging in a mink coat, drinking a fucking Miller Lite. Yeah,
and having like my new diet of like so much fucking lamb. They make a lot of lamb in the UK. Then the next thing is so that's like a little piecemeal thing. But the other one was Rishi Sunak, who I believe is finance chancellor of the Exchequer in this government, but don't quote me on that. Rishi Sunak has constantly talks about the idea of free ports in the UK, which is basically designating a bunch of... tell me if this sounds familiar. Designating a bunch of areas in the UK, namely port cities, probably in the north and like southwest as a revitalization strategy. And then saying, here the rules will be a little bit different than they are for the rest of the UK. Maybe labor laws will be a bit different. Maybe trade will be a little bit different. Industries will get tax benefits. Corporations will get tax benefits.
I'm hitting my Jeopardy buzzer. Alex,
Yes.
what is special economic zones?
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, so
It's funny you mentioned
for 400, please.
It's funny you mentioned special economic zones because, like, that is like I see the parallels, but in the sense that Brexit is, as we said before, doing the shock doctrine to yourself. What it also is it's returning. Like the British were one of the pioneers in like post-colonial offshore financing. There's a reason. I mean, you mentioned Freeport in the Bahamas, like. Tons of other former colonial powers had it too, but especially the British. Like they just like invented tax havens, and now they're just going to become a tax haven too. Because what else are you supposed to do there?
Well, that was the like the big message of like Tory vision of Brexit Britain was giant Singapore. Or giant Hong Kong was the kind of like
oh no
idea.
Tory vision, the new fucking offshoot of Eurovision that we're gonna get now because of Brexit. Fuck off. It's just a bunch of like just inbred, aristocrat weirdos just singing, racist songs of yesteryear.
Yeah.
Shoots like Singapore, big like Britain.
And then, so that's a plan, and correctly, the like Tory think tanks correctly point out that like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea, but that was technically legal under like EU rules. That's why like Poland.
Yeah, look at Poland. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then, lastly, one of the other things they're trying to champion right now is this regional development fund, which is like we're going to give money to like different regions of the UK that are underdeveloped, so that they can have nicer trains or whatever. But that's a part of the Brexit deal that actually isn't. Well, the Tories can decide the branding on that and like do all the PR and stuff they want. But that's actually a part of the Brexit deal because as a part of the level playing field, because the EU Regional Development Fund won't be reaching the UK anymore. Most of that money goes to like Northern England, Highlands of Scotland, things like that. They demand in the deal that you basically pay for that yourself. Because the EU doesn't want to be sending all their like regional development money to like, I don't know, Transylvania, like what, I don't know, the border Midlands region of Ireland, and then you guys not do the same because we're spending all this money to make ourselves a bit better. You should have to do it too. So the Tories are trying to claim that this is their own idea, but it's not. It's something that the deal is forcing them to do. So that's the Tory vision of Brexit so far. And it's not great. Also, the deal doesn't eliminate paperwork for businesses at all. Like, it's still a massive hassle. I think the estimates by the Financial Times is that every business should expect an additional, like, 11 hours per week of paperwork to be done. So, yeah, that's fun.
Job creation.
And, job creation right there, yeah. Just everyone just gets to like sort papers. It's great in the new special economic zone of Newcastle upon Tyne. So yeah. The other funny thing about Brexit, and this will be the last thing we can talk about Brexit, unless we want to talk about it more generally.
No, I don't actually. I
fair enough.
I'm just happy this shit's finally over, but it also like I don't know. We're also going into like year zero. It feels like now. At the same time.
Yeah, it's going to be a generally interesting time because what is going to be repercussions of Brexit, what is going to be repercussions of like the Corona year, and will there be any sensible division between those two ideas? Like, I think the Tories can always just like blame coronavirus for what is a Brexit problem and vice versa. It's just going to be like a weird shitty kind of like discourse to be a part of, which is why I'm abstaining from the discourse and would rather focus on the really dumb thing that happened, which is so they basically signed this deal, if I'm not mistaken, Christmas. Like they got this done in time for Christmas to give to
give us all the Christmas gift that we wanted. Thank you, Boris Johnson.
Thank you, Boris. But, they had to let Parliament sign off on it and the EU Parliament sign off on it, blah, 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 and time to implement, blah, blah, blah. However, they did fuck up and realized on the 29th, the 30th of December, 29th. On the 29th of December, 4 days later, that they hadn't made any provisions for Gibraltar.
Now, see, that's just an allusion. You said it's signed on Christmas. That's an allusion to the classic Christmas movie Home Alone, where the UK's on the plane and they realize they forgot Gibraltar at home.
Yeah, Gibraltar is the Macaulay Culkin of Europe, which is it was once very attractive and cute, and we all wanted it, and now it's like, oof. So Gibraltar very quickly got a deal sorted for it, which is Gibraltar is now a part of the Schengen area, and they weren't before, which I find that hilarious. Gibraltar is now in like a better pro-EU position than it was previously by being outside of the European Union. And for anyone who hasn't, like, I've never been in Gibraltar, but I've been outside of Gibraltar. I've been in an area of Spain usually referred to as La Frontera, and it is a desolate, industrial, horrible wasteland of suburban developments and shit like that because, like, Gibraltar basically has, like, gambling companies, like online gambling companies, and a bunch of, like, we're British pubs kind of things. And then there's, like, a rock you can climb and there'll be monkeys on it. That's the entirety of Gibraltar. And most of those businesses are completely run by an economy of people who actually do not live in Gibraltar. They live in Spain, just outside of Gibraltar, and commute in. But you still had to go through like an entirety of a passport check and shit like that. And the queues in and out of Gibraltar were always nightmarish. Most even like British people who are like Gibraltarese, whatever, citizens also lived in Spain because it was just fucking cheaper. And now it's a Schengen-free movement area. Free movement area. So yeah,
more weird companies are just going to open up in Gibraltar in like the next, few years and whatnot. That's sick.
A lot of like, if you ever get those like weird ads for like online slot machines, chances are that company's based in Gibraltar.
Yeah, I'm just imagining that then, like, what if Gibraltar like so Gibraltar is now part of like the Schengen zone, but knowing that then that there's this weird little loophole as well, they just make it also a special economic zone.
Woo! Free port.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's more or less Brexit then for us, right?
No, there's an important question that we have to keep tabs on. Kieran, what is the status of everyone's favorite watch, Irish Unification Watch?
Oh, Jesus. Ireland has like been the Irish border has been relatively dealt with, although there was like an increase police presence on the border just in case. So far at the moment, everyone's not really thinking about it because Northern Ireland is a ridiculous hotbed for coronavirus at the moment. So yeah, the general sentiment amongst people in the Republic is like, oh no, but no one's allowed to go to Northern Ireland for a bit. You will get corona and die. So yeah.
Well, a classic link up between the Brexit and corona double whammy, as we discussed. Anyway, we will keep checking in on this topic to see how close we get to well, exactly, the one and the same.
Oh, okay.
The other thing I want to say, just because
we could also. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Go
well, it's kind of a PSA. I know we have a little bit of a platform, which is I know the EU people are feeling kind of on their high horse right now, but the official flag of the EU has changed. You're supposed to wear the one without the one star from now on, and you have to follow proper burial for the 12-star flag to always remember the UK, or also as a sign to anyone else who's thinking of leaving this perfect union. This is what we will do to you. We will take off your star.
Yeah, the thing that's really funny, two last things. I'm so sick of fucking talking about Brexit. I think it's really funny that then that the possibility then of another Scottish referendum is like once again on the table potentially, which is pretty funny. And I mean, they're not really like. I guess the question is like if they're even going to bother like acting upon it because it is kind of a tall order with like you said, Corona and all this other shit going on and Brexit. But yeah, I think that then that could potentially be something that we see like in the next few years, like actually being triggered. And crap, I forgot the second one.
We have a Northern Independence Party now as well. Northern England.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, they are like actively socialist. Most of them seem to be like
okay, that's cool then.
most of them seem to be like people who all left Labour because of Keir Starmer being elected as leader.
I remember my second thing, and I think it's also then too kind of interesting how much of a clusterfuck Brexit was, like, because Rob just saying in the sense of how, like, if this could trigger then other, like, I mean, jokingly, obviously, removing the star, but I do think it is a massive deterrent for any other nation to leave the European Union, especially, like, smaller ones, smaller economics, powers in Europe. Like, I mean, we were like talking a few years ago about like a Tal exit or like Grexit and whatnot, and they would not have the opportunity to come and negotiate anything. They would just have a deal just like written up to them by just like pretty much Germany being like, here, you have to agree to probably like the strongest, weirdest. I don't know. Greece would probably just like you have to sell your country to Germany probably, and just like some weird, like clusterfuck of red tape or whatnot that then's being like what is it like deregulation and whatnot, but the first country that then's allowed to like that's allowed to like bid on it's Germany or some shit, so I don't know. I think it'll be I think that whole discussion too is just kind of out the window now at this point as well, because that was a trend at the beginning after Brexit of like who's going to be next, and it's like probably no one.
That is why Germany did Brexit, by the way, as a false flag to discourage other countries.
It's not a coincidence that the royal family of the UK is German.
There you go.
Yeah, right. How deep does this go? I think like the other thing
that's why Harry left. His mission was complete.
Yeah, I think the other thing that happened though as well, which I find very interesting, and I think we've talked a good bit about, is the populist right of Europe has managed to basically give up the idea of leaving the EU while still keeping both their constituency and Noam Chomsky-esque real constituency happy. Like they National Rally doesn't need it anymore. La Lega doesn't need to talk about that anymore, because I think it's not so much they saw what happened to the UK, but they saw what happened to UKIP.
Yeah.
Like, they realize if they actually pursue this, they're then, once it's done, they're dead. Like, that's the part, the gravy train is over. So now they're just like, yeah, we'll stay in the EU and we'll turn it into, like, a more of a, like, confederal model or whatever the fuck, where Italy can do whatever the fuck it wants, but it's still in the EU and it still has the euro. I know, like, Salvini is held like every possible position you can hold on the euro, in the matter of
and I'm sure they'll flip back when it's like politically expedient. But that's the thing. Like, on the one hand, you can say it is, I don't know, maybe they have some machinations of whatever European greatness, and they're deciding whether it should be in the EU or outside the EU. But on the other, like, I think more salient is just the fact that exactly what you said, Kieran. Like, if they actually believed, like, if you were some French, I don't know, great replacement, like we have to leave the EU to do some great Frankish project, I don't know, then you would like sacrifice yourself in your political campaign, your political career to do this goal. Like if it really mattered to you, you would go the UKIP, you would go the way of UKIP, but you would be successful. But all these people are just, to use an overused word, grifters, in the sense that they don't want this career to end. They want to keep going around and around. Whatever greases the wheels, gets them paid. No one wants to sacrifice themselves for some project, even if a project like leaving the EU, like just that purpose without anything else behind it. Like no one actually believes in that. At least no political leader. So like why would they sacrifice themselves for it?
The situation is that like basically all of these parties are the political representation of like French, Italian, German, whatever capitalists who are nervous about like European competition, or like European regulation. Like one of the biggest backers of Brexit Party was like John Mills, who just like basically sells. It was basically Wish.com before, like without a website. It was just the Wish.com aisle in like a supermarket. It was all this dodgy shit, and
So it's like knockoff Chibo then.
Yeah, basically.
Hell yeah.
So like all that shit, like I think they've kind of realized that no, we can just kind of bend the EU into something that is a bit more like Italian protectionist or like French protectionist and stuff like that, where yeah, like they'll go the route that kind of like AFD went. I know AFD is in like a little separate position because they're at the king's table or whatever because they're in Germany, but like they'll just do the thing of like, nah, fuck it, we won't send any money to the other countries, but we're still in the EU. It's fine. Like it's they found a way around this. Is more my thinking. So I don't think there will be like any kind of other discussions of EU countries leaving. Like both because the UK was served as like a cautionary message, but possibly not in the way that like everyone's talking about it. You know, it's not about like the UK has been punished. It's about like the far right in the UK has been kind of punished to a certain extent. They don't have their cozy little grift anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's Brexit, I guess, for us. And I like I said earlier, I'm glad that this is. I mean, I don't want to pretend that I care in the long run. But, you know, like it's at least I'm glad that it's over and that we really like can kind of. I mean, we haven't talked about it all that much on the show anyway.
No.
But
let's just move on.
Yes. Yeah. So the biggest news probably of like since we last spoke, which was 2 weeks ago, they're rolling out the COVID vaccines. If you're, not Russian and you've already gotten yours, possibly like the 70,000 people who've been vaccinated there, or you're not one of the 1 million people in China who've already been vaccinated. Europe is, number one, first country to make the COVID vaccine according to themselves. And, it's a complete fucking failure, particularly if you're the country of Germany, who has had the problem of I believe it's like the BioNTech vaccine that then has to be kept at like an ungodly cold temperature. And they fucked up like a bunch of like thousands of the first doses because they weren't, so pretty much being ineffective. And also like not enough people are being vaccinated in Germany compared to like the US and the UK. I'm really surprised that this hasn't gotten like more kind of coverage as well too, like outside of Germany, because I know I saw like Deutsche Welle post something about it or whatever. But yeah, like it really is kind of it's kind of funny to me how just like stereotypically German it is that then like a German car that then has this like reputation of being like reliable and this and that whatever. It's like anyone you know who like owns like a Mercedes or a BMW, like a newer one, just like continuously in the shop and like doesn't actually function and is like maybe shittier than like a Peugeot. So yeah. I don't want to say that I take any like pleasure in this, because obviously I wish that then we could get a vaccine that then everyone could just get and whatnot. But Germany really just once again kind of like dropping the ball, and it isn't obviously the fault of the people who made the vaccine, of course, but just like Germany just being managerially like just bad at this. And and during an election year too, like mind you, like we are now officially in general election time for this country.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I don't know when Germany's like election season properly starts, but like I know
like 2 weeks before the election.
Yeah, because the polls always like change. It's like the polls are going one way, and then it's like now actually elections happen. Everyone just fucking changes their mind. They're like, oh no. When I said I wanted to vote for the Greens in that poll, I was just I was just in fantasy land. I'm actually voting CDU. It's fine. Don't get mad at me, German pollster. So it is interesting. Like, so I know for the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine that it was basically purposely designed purposely made in a way of making vaccines that's less experimental, and they kind of knew it was a safer route to go. Whereas the Pfizer one is the first like RNA. I'm not sure if I'm using this term right, but it's like it's groundbreaking, and this is like a new method of making vaccines. So that's why you have all these like weird add-ons of why it's a bit more expensive, why you have to keep it in refrigeration of like -70 and things like that. So yeah, the Oxford one I think was purposely designed for the idea of, okay, but how are people in very rural like Africa going to get these vaccines?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a huge differential in terms of like who gets the vaccine when. I think you'll definitely see the U.S. and Europe having like relatively like higher vaccination rates and opening up, whatever that means, faster than the rest of the world. I mean, I know there are different kinds of vaccines, but I think Mexico got something like 50,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine, which is like, wow, thanks. 50,000.
25,000 people.
Don't spend it all in one place. And I mean, so people have pointed out, because I think Argentina, for example, got 300,000 of the Russian vaccine. So there's definitely diplomatic arbitrage opportunities, but that's what it's going to be. There's no like systematic way to like roll this out across the world or do anything really. I don't know. In the same way that you don't care about Brexit, I don't care about any vaccine news or any coronavirus news. People just say whatever they want. Germany's doing a good job. Now Germany sucks.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't care either way. I never expect anyone to do anything well.
It definitely isn't so much the sense that I care about then what's happening. The thing that I just think is really interesting is the way that then the entire like discourse around this. I know that we're like giving up the discourse for 2021, but since this happened in 2020, I feel that I should mention it. Is how there is very much this like just from like a kind of like global politics sort of perspective of how like Europe doesn't want to take the L in any way whatsoever of just how they've not dealt with coronavirus well in general, and so I just find it really
Europe
funny.
always wins.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we invented the first vaccine. It's like, but you didn't. Oh, well,
they
like
invented
the
winning.
Russian one. Yeah, but they did invent winning, you know, and it's like it really is.
We've
just
won
funny,
everything: World War One, World War Two, Cold War.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like it's just so funny in the sense of how, like, I mean, it's really impressive to see. Like, I mean, one, I think that then it's what all this is going to do at the end of the day is going to accelerate China's position in the world, just showing that then that regardless if you like the Chinese method or not, they produce results, and they actually probably are going to benefit the world much more, like the rest of the world, than say like the Western made vaccines that are like there is a class differential, obviously, simply put, of who's going to get what, how they're going to get it, when they're going to get it. Where China's like, yeah, we're going to like, just produce like 1 billion vaccines by the end of this year and just distribute them around the world. Like that's impressive, regardless of like what your opinion is of the CCP or whatever. I do think that that's a model that a lot of countries, particularly countries that don't feel any attachment anymore to the EU or to the United States due to their decreasing power globally, I think it'll definitely put a lot of things in the favor of China dominating the next probably, I don't know what century in global politics. So, and I'm curious to see what that world will look like. It doesn't mean that then like I think China's like socialist or not or whatever, but they do have a lot of really interesting programs. Their economy is incredibly interesting simply from just like a nerdy economics perspective. And maybe it is, I mean, like they don't have coronavirus right now. Like they're clearly doing something right.
Yeah, so this is for anyone out there who's looking for some recommended reading. I think today or this year, the beginning of this year, is probably a good time to bone up on your world systems theory, and like especially about the specific idea of the moving of a core, because the world systems theory kind of dictates that the world has a core, a semi-periphery, and a periphery. And the core currently, and probably since the end of World War II for sure, has been the United States. And that is definitely moving now to probably what you would call like a Pacific theater. Because other stuff Pacific theater. So other things that we didn't talk about in last year, but did happen, is the world's biggest free trade agreement being signed by like the ASEAN nations plus ASEAN, for anyone who don't know, is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. It's basically everything of south of China until you hit Australia. But they've also signed that deal with China, South Korea, Japan, New Zealand, and Australia. So that's the kind of area that we're talking about. All those countries have also handled, with the exception of Japan, have also handled coronavirus a shit ton better than Europe and the United States. And yeah, that's just where all the shit's going to go from now on. Because at the same time, there was also the think tank, I can't remember, in London revised their numbers for when they expect China to overtake the US, shortening it by 4 years, thinking it's going to happen now in 2028 rather than 2032. So yeah, this is the way it's going, lads. And
speaking of exactly then that,
yeah.
Hang on, Rob.
No, it would be so funny to see like those like, you know, right wing anti China hawks, whether it's in the US or EU, tweet about the China takeover, like eco socialists tweet about like the world is ending in 11 years. We have to do something. We only have 7 years left until President Xi personally murders me.
Yeah, that pretty much already exists. Look at, I mean, in our case in Berlin, go to like Dussmann, like in like the English bookstore thing, and look at how many stupid fucking books exist of like the Great Red Dragon or like some other xenophobic bullshit. I don't like, and these books are like gobbled up by fucking idiots within the like, you know, political, you know, like the like liberal elite class or whatever, who just has to have this narrative exist because their jobs won't exist anymore if they don't have a boogeyman of whoever it is. So
it is funny because I do think there's more of like a liberal European like xenophilic even, where they're just like I would love to do business with China, and it's definitely underwritten by like they're like, I just admire their dragon energy.
Yeah, it's still racist.
But it's not the same like fear of like wanting to cause the next world war. They're like, all right, well, you know, I can work with this.
That's very American. Yeah, that's a much different vibe.
America had like a similar approach to Japan in the 80s, though.
Yeah,
because like in the 80s, everyone thought like Japan was going to take over because the post-war miracle in Japan was happening, where they were like suddenly producing like all these cars and like gadgets and game systems and things like that.
The exact same thing as what China is now. Like, you know, Japan was making like knockoffs of everything into like from like from the 50s into the 70s, and then like now you see things like, I mean, electronics that then are, you know, some of the world leaders, cars, everything under the sun. Yeah.
It's the same big brain thing of just like, oh, we made China make all the iPhones for us, and then we're surprised that they're able to come out with their own like phone company
that are sick, that are so fucking good. You know, I genuinely like think. I mean, I know I joke on the show that I you know, thank Xi Jinping for my Huawei products, but they slap. Like, I'm very content with my you know, with my computer and my phone, and they're cheaper than an iPhone by like half the price.
Oh, definitely. But like the thing is, or like the thing that was always kind of like weirdly weird about like the Japan, like the that kind of like yellow panic in the 80s, which is why if you ever watch a cyberpunk movie or read a cyberpunk novel from that era, including like Blade Runner, they're all kind of like culturally Japanese, or there's like this like Blade Runner opens with Harrison Ford like eating ramen, like even though he's like in the middle of the United States, which is again a thing you can do now. It's okay. It didn't mean anything about Japan's like economic dominance. It's just a thing that you can get ramen in the States. But like there was also this like fascination and like worship of it as well, like what Rob's describing. There were these characters who would like, there were these business leaders,
economic weeaboos.
Yeah, there were business leaders who were literally wearing kimonos at their fucking like product management job.
Oh yeah.
And shit in the 80s. They just thought that wearing a kimono would suddenly make them better at business. Like, I can think like a Japanese person. The issue that like with all of that, and why maybe China is more credible as something that's going to economically dominate the world, is Japan was still like a third of the population of the US. Like, yeah, I don't understand how anyone thought. Also, it was also a lot of it was based on the fact that Japan has access to all this cheap Chinese labor.
Yeah.
And now the world just has access to the cheap Chinese labor. And now the Chinese labor is no longer cheap and they're making their own shit. Like, I don't know. But I think the other side of this as well, and what we're probably going to get into now, is Europe doesn't really care.
Hell yeah. Well, some Europeans do, and they're wrong.
Some Europeans do, yeah. So this is something that happened when Joe Biden got elected. A lot of people in the UK,
the one man standing against the madness,
right? Yeah. Listen here, Jack.
Yeah, Joe Biden
actually, a lot
slayed the dragon.
A lot, like, I mean, not to get like too stereotypical, but a lot of like Chinese tech bros will take Jack as their English name because of Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba,
who is like being who's what is it? Had like new investigations open up against him of like illegal banking practices. Yeah.
Yeah, but
China's
like, they all
so
want to
weird.
Be here.
It really like it's so funny because it obviously comes into the sense of like how much the CCP likes you. Like you could be one of the richest men on the planet as long as you play by the rules, and it's just so like then they'll just like have these like random just like purges of like billionaires and be like, see, we're actually like socialists, and it's like, but our like new richest man in Asia is now like a water bottle king. Like bottled water king. It's like, that's evil. That's fucking evil.
Yeah,
I'm wondering, like, when this, like, the Jeff Bezos of China is just gonna like pop up.
Well, that's Jack Ma. That's like that already exists.
Yeah, I know, but like, just that then, like, having like 3 times the wealth of Jack Ma.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But the so just with that in mind, it is really funny to imagine Joe Biden saying, "Listen, Jack," but when Joe Biden was elected in the United States, people in the UK kind of correctly pointed out that a lot of Boris's Brexit plan was like hinging on Trump being reelected because Trump was likely to give him a more favorable deal, and Joe Biden kind of favors the idea of the UK being in the EU a bit more. At least that's his stated position. I frankly don't think he cares all that much, but I don't know. The thing with that, though, was that it kind of was a very British-centric view of, like, Atlanticism versus Europeanism. It's kind of these two foreign policy thoughts within the UK. Do we lean more towards the US, or do we lean more towards, like, Berlin and Europe? And, like, try make the EU into this player on its own stage, grand thing that we are an active participant in, or do we just kowtow to, like, American policy like we've done since the end of World War II? And the problem with that diagnosis is it didn't really take into account what Europe wanted to do. And Germany, I think, dictates a good bit of what Europe wants to do. And it seems like Atlanticism in Germany is on a downward trend. They definitely have their like holdouts of people who are like, we have to work with the US. We must. But I think the kind of like, I don't know, Neue Ostpolitik of like working with China, like we don't really care all that much. I really don't see Germany as like a grand body politic caring that China is now going to replace the US. They're just kind of like, all right, another person to deal with. We'll just deal with them the same way we dealt with the US. It's fine. Like, I don't think they give a shit. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, no, they do. Well, I guess it depends, right? Because the reality of it is that then in the sense of if you are someone who is, not stupid, and you are looking at then the sense of that you have a, potential. I think if you don't count the EU as its own economic body, China's the second largest economy in the world. Probably going to be the first biggest economy by the end of the decade or whatever, if not quicker. Like obviously you make these very in-depth investment and trade deals with China. Like China also has, like a lot of people don't know this for whatever reason, but they also have like a bunch of organizations that are like kind of going against that of like the WTO and the IMF and whatnot. And the thing that's very interesting is that a lot of European countries are a member of these alternative organizations. It isn't that then like Europe is already kind of like Germany especially hopped on a long time ago, being like, yeah, sure, we'll try this out, see how it goes, because they obviously see the importance of what China is as an economic power. The dumbest thing, though, that then I think I saw was just the criticisms coming from a lot of like holier than thou Europeans on the like human rights issue in China. And like regardless of what your opinion of it is that just like, I mean, I tweeted about this earlier in the week of just that then like there's literally an archipelago of concentration camps in Europe right now. And I don't like, I mean, like just shut the fuck up. Like you don't like, it's just optics for you. It just comes into the end of the day that then you want to like, toot your horn about the, the Uyghur population in what is it, Xinjiang, or I can't pronounce.
Yeah, Xinjiang.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, yeah, like I get that that's a thing, but at the end of the day, like also like look at what like China then ending up on like on the human Human Rights Council earlier this year just opened up a case against the United States for like decades of human rights violations, like just like. Stop! Like it really bugs me of this like you live in this like realpolitik sort of world because you're like a good lib, but then also then are like just doing this pretend facade of like, see, China has concentration camps. It's like yeah, okay, like whatever your opinion of it of that is. Good, fine, and dandy, but you're also a liberal, which then would mean that then like that shouldn't impede you from then making these agreements with China. Because what are you gonna fucking do? Sanction China? Like what? Also, like sanctions are far like one of the most evil fucking things that you can do, as we can see that then like the countries that then are sanctioned in the world currently by the West, like I guarantee you that then the like life in Cuba would be 1,000 times better if they weren't sanctioned by their fucking neighbor, like this, like, and I'm interested. This is why I said I think I'm really interested in seeing how China is going to work in the future, because I think at the end of the day they just kind of like don't care about the like internal politics of a country, which is like good and bad in its own, but at least there isn't like this like fake bullshit that liberalism has of like, well, we can do genocide, we can lock people up pretty much out of just like racial reasons whatsoever, but when you lock up your Muslim population, that's where it's not okay. So I'm just so sick of this. It really like I don't get how that discussion came up during like an investment agreement. It just is bullshit.
I mean, like, even if you were that kind of like lib, then there's stuff within this agreement that should make you supposedly happy. Like one of the like sticking points of the EU was the like no how do they phrase it? It wasn't forced labor, but they were like there was an agreement that was like you can't have like unpaid, like imprisoned labor.
Yeah, tell that to the fucking entire like Italian agricultural market.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, I mean, we're talking about liberals who will just like believe what the document says.
Yeah, no,
so,
of course.
Yeah.
Again, they're just dumb. Like
it's the xenophobic thing of just like we can't trust the Chinese because they're inherently untrustworthy, rather than making any other good like description of materialist conditions that will cause the Chinese government to continue using unpaid labor, despite what the fucking document says. Anyway, it's a weird set, but yes, you correctly pointed out that like EU, Germany as well, which is kind of like very big center of the EU, has not had problems with like the growing rise of China, and I also kind of fail to see how it would really concern, apart from some like rhetoric and stuff like that, which I'm sure we'll get into. It doesn't really concern the majority of Europeans who were playing second fiddle too. Like, because this is what we're talking about. We're like, so it's either we go the way of
which way, Western man.
It is which way, Western man. Do we want to be newly picked up by the new power in the world and be their best friends? Because China would happily take us because China still has a huge manufacturing base, even if they do like continue to ascend. And they want the like high income countries to buy from. That's why they're cozying up to Japan and South Korea as well. Despite like other contradictions that would make them not want to cozy up to South Korea because they still kind of keep North Korea as a pet. Like, yeah, it's this weird situation. It's like why people complain. It's like, I don't like the Japanese Communist Party because they have this line against the Chinese Communist Party. It's like, well, the Chinese Communist Party is spending all their money like cozying up to like Shinzo Abe. They're like opposition.
Yeah.
So why would they give a shit about like?
That's the thing, is that the Chinese, like, again, like the Chinese Communist Party being this a governing, like the pretty much single governing body of the country. Like, I think that we just don't understand, like, as being the way that we consume media about China, we don't understand that there are like a lot of contradictions within the Chinese Communist Party itself. That there is like a wide variety of political, ideologies and whatnot.
It's the biggest big tent party you could possibly imagine.
Yeah. I mean, like the fact of like, Xi Jinping is from the right wing of the Chinese Communist Party. Like he just is. Like, simply put, you can't like, and I find it really funny when I see like, Westerners on Twitter being like, damn, like, actually legitimately thinking that he's sick and like actually thinking he's like, I don't want to say he ideologically isn't a communist, because he is, like, of course, but it's just like, endorsing his view of communism is quite weird to me, because it is quite right wing, it is quite reactionary, and
But that's so like Europe has already, I think, kind of moved in the direction of we'd rather be second fiddle and benefit from the new world power rather than becoming like a new Eastern Europe, when like tying our bandwagon to this clearly like power in like dissent and hope that we don't end up like Eastern Europe did after the fall of the Soviet Union, of just kind of like completely ravaged by global capital.
Yeah, and can the U.S. send in the tanks to keep them under their umbrella? I don't think so. They can't do anything.
No, absolutely. No, like I think a lot of people who focus more on the states have correctly pointed out that like I think it was Chapo pointed out that like everything that happened with Venezuela in the last 4 years would have gone off without a hitch if this was like the early 90s. Like the attempt at coups in Bolivia, in Venezuela, would have happened a lot more smoothly if this was the 90s or 80s. And somewhat symbolically, also like this week, the last American English-speaking radio station in Germany closed down. Like,
oh man, you hate to see it.
You hate to see it. Well, it's a great age for us to be English-speaking podcasters. Where else the fuck are you going to go?
But
I mean, also we're probably cooler as well. Like we have better politics probably than him as well.
Kira, and you summed it up perfectly, because in the past, why do people on Twitter like say like, "Daddy Xi Jinping, I can't, I serve you." Because in the past, what winning meant was capitalism, and now winning means socialism. Doesn't matter what else it means; it's just you're winning. So that's great. It's red now. There are more flags.
What? Socialism with Chinese characteristics. You're gonna get so tired of winning. Which
more like socialism with winning characteristics. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, what's the difference? What the fuck's the difference?
Hopefully that second one is less racist, because I'm totally imagining like, I don't know, it's the year 2030 and like a bunch of European capitalists are like, yeah, socialism with Chinese characteristics. Let's do this. And it's just like, everything's the same, but they just dress racistly now.
Whatever like the equivalent of like wearing kimonos would be in like 2034.
Yeah, absolutely.
They all just start dressing in Mao suits and whatnot, and they're just like, damn, like I feel king.
Yeah, so I don't trust Europe's elite to correctly interpret whatever that means, socialism with Chinese characteristics.
Yeah. Well, that's been like enough meat and potatoes for this episode. It's, we're going into the new year, kind of wonking it out a little bit. I'm sorry, but I have a treat for both of you guys, and you guys already have seen it. But for our listeners, you put up with some some real nitty gritty trade deals, Brexit, coronavirus. How about mafia social media influencers, just to lighten up the mood?
Yes.
The initial article itself isn't like all that funny, but it actually is. So the FT had an article this morning that I came across of titled. So this is on the 2nd of January. The mafia turns social media influencer to reinforce its brand, and
yes,
long story short, the mafia has been experimenting with. Mafia bosses kind of, posting pretty much just like, just motivational bullshit. Like this quote here of when, what's the guy's name? Vincenzo Torcasio. So he's a boss clan of the Calabrian, one of the Calabrian mafias, families. And posted, back in 2017, just photos of himself, like with just a shit ton of money around him, with just like captions like "When this is involved, you can't trust anyone." So just
nice.
That's an old Sicilian message.
Yeah, just typical, like what you would expect from dumb guy. Also, like I imagine people who like live in New York and New Jersey thinking this is the coolest shit ever. Because it is, someone like them flexing like this. But the thing that maybe is like the funniest thing that then, we've really like reached, like that the mafia really is kind of, changing their look and whatnot, is that there's now like a weird subgenre of like mafia rap that is really bad.
No, how could this be bad?
Yeah. So there's a very short profile. This is more just for our listeners to just kind of like look at themselves and just kind of dip their toes into this. So there's a rapper named Glock 21 who has maybe like 6 or 7 videos on YouTube of just really standard trap visuals. It looks like any Rob showed us earlier, like at some time, I don't think the episode ever came out, but of what's that Italian rapper's name, Rob?
Who?
The Italian rapper who had like
he did a coronavirus rap. Yeah, he also I think did swag.
Oh yeah, Bello Figo.
Oh,
Figo, yeah, beautiful son,
yeah. So we did talk about him then. Yeah, so Figo by far is a better rapper, has better visuals and everything. Glock 21 is just like, if you'd imagine an Italian man getting a hold of like a camera, attractive women, his dad's cars, and his friends. These are atrocious videos. They also like, for him being a mafia rapper with that mafia money, they collectively have less than 1 million views.
Yeah, they could have bought way more views. It makes sense because my understanding of the mafia is you sit in rooms and have conversations and eat, and then you go move to another room and talk to more people. And then sometimes like a murder or something bad will happen or you will get killed. And so there's a lot of downtime is what I'm getting at. And so you might as well try to be productive.
Downtime between the murders.
They're already talking, sitting around with your friends, you might as well at least rap a bit.
Yeah. What if we turned these dude? What if this conversation we're having right now was a rap? Just what
it is, if you think about it.
One of our people sitting around the table suddenly was just like everything he was saying rhymed, and we were like, damn.
This is exactly that. Like the thing that's the best thing about this article is that these mafia bosses that they interviewed literally cannot say anything other than just like dumb guy shit. So here's the last 3 little blurbs are really funny to me. So these are people like us. They live in the same world as us, he said. I don't remember who he's talking. Doesn't matter who. Mr. Varese, I guess is who this person is.
He's expert of organized crime at Oxford.
Yeah. They are part of the same culture we live in, and most of the time they only reveal information on social media about themselves that is not criminal and can't be used in court. With all young social media users, however, there is a risk of ill-advised posts coming back to haunt them in later life. Once you start using social media, it can be used against you, Mr. Varza says.
Who among us?
Something who posts it's like someone who posts a picture of themselves at a party when they're 18 and it causes them problems when they're 30. And then the mob boss then has this best ending.
Hang on. Is the strategy going forward to cancel the mafia?
Pretty much. All right, and then here's the final quote from this Mr. Torcasio. If the past comes back to find you, try and avoid it.
Yeah,
he wrote on his Facebook. Wrote on his Facebook profile, "There is no room for those who have turned their backs on you." Like
shit.
They only can exist like exactly in like Rob said, is like having downtime, chilling with your dudes and having friends. But the only thing is that you just can't talk like a normal person.
Well, yeah, because you have to have this brand where it's like dumb guy euphemisms, basically, or dumb guy sayings, basically. You like everything you tweet, everything you post on Instagram has to sound somewhat profound until you think about it for more than 2 seconds, and it's just like you've just slightly retooled a basic ass phrase.
Yeah, exactly. But you're just like you could kill someone, so they're not going to fucking question you on it.
If the past comes back to find you, you try and avoid it. Like the past is some sort of like giant purple Jim Henson creation waiting around the corner for you to avoid.
What if the mafia but Muppets?
There is a show about that. It was on Netflix. It wasn't very good, but this rules. I love this.
Yeah, the only thing I could imagine, like the only thing that would maybe make it better is if the mafia just contacted my favorite Italian, Bigtime Tommie, and do his like motivational quote of the day, because it's actually like more insightful than this bullshit. Because it's just don't it's still dumb. It's like, don't listen to the haters, be a good person, this and that. And that.
I mean, just. Nick, could you please actually just say that last quote in Big Time Tommie's voice? It'll work.
Hey, yo, it's Big Time Tommie here, speaking for the Calabrian Mafia family. Remember, the thought of the day is don't listen to the haters. Haters gonna hate. Keeping it old school, baby. OS for life. Yeah, I mean, there. What? That's it right there. And some like mafia boss, because it's like in English, it's like, damn, like, that's sick. That's like really gonna attract the youth.
Yeah, and then I just get my rapping nephew on, and then we're good to go.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite things about the song that you linked me by Glock Bente Uno, Glock Bente Uno is which the song is called Number One, but you've clearly said you're 20. It's whatever. It's produced by someone called Beatcoin, which, that's just what I imagine an Italian speaking English saying Bitcoin sounds like Bitcoin. Fucking hell. I love this. I need this in my life.
It's just the thing that's just so funny to me is that there's always like this, like, I mean, because like this, like, people who see The Sopranos, it's like the part where they go to Italy and like they're like the real mafia, like they take it like much more serious and whatnot. But the reality of it is just still like, it's still just dumb guy culture at the end of the day, just Italian. So like maybe it's like slightly dumber and like cheesier and whatnot. The only thing that then obviously is very much more at play is the amount of political power that they hold. But
yeah.
It's So I don't know. I thought that would be a fun little So check out
Glock Bente Uno.
Glock 21. Yeah. And what else?
It's very like Wyatt Coke, like shirts for the discoteca kind of thing, because it's like, this is funny, like this guy's like done this, but like he's still a part of like a very influential political family.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Yeah. Like I don't doubt his quote unquote street cred. So
AJ Soprano writing bars on his computer.
That's like a bit I've been trying to think in my head for months now. Is like, what if AJ Soprano, like The Sopranos happen now, and like AJ has like TikTok and is becoming a SoundCloud rapper and whatnot. Like, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna give a little preview.
He would love to do the TikToks where it's like, get your dad to do something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Tony Soprano just like in therapy, like lamenting that his son is like an e-boy now.
Anthony Jr. won't stop with the fucking TikToks.
Oh, god damn it, yes.
My son is not becoming an e-boy.
when will you stop being an e-boy and start being an e-man? But yeah, speaking of social media influencers and where they...
the best for last. Absolute kings.
Yeah. Last little bit of dessert is...
Well, this is more my speed. This is my mafia, if you will.
this is the Rob Mafia. So I really love that it's still like freedom35.de. So if anyone's on their phone, they can go to that address, and I guarantee you freedom35.de is not going to lead to what you think it's going to lead to, because that's quite the URL. No, this
Freedom 35 sounds like a group, like the SA was trying to take over the Nazi Party again.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. It also's got a little bit of like I don't know what, it's got like a 90s British band kind of vibe to it as well. Like,
I think you're giving like a little bit too much credit there. Like, at least
Freedom 35 is definitely the name of like a E17 style or step style band.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah. They'd have like one number one hit and then be like very quickly forgotten about.
Eiffel 65 is Italian for Freedom 35. You think?
Yes.
Wait,
there you go.
All right, someone has to introduce what this actually is. So it is a, well, all it says is that it's a startup flat, whatever that means, which basically just seems like this is the most like elaborate roommate finding website you've ever seen.
I cannot stress it off. I said this in chat, and Yulia agreed with me because we needed the woman's perspective. This whole thing feels incredibly thirsty. I don't know exactly how, but it feels very thirsty.
Yeah, I see that. Shout out first of all James Jackson on Twitter, who he shared their video which went viral, which is like what, a 2-minute video of them, their pitch that you can come live with them and do things like talk about cryptocurrency and talk about they love their Myers-Briggs test. They talk about entrepreneurship.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the absolute most insane thing about this is that, like, it's all the tropes of bullshit startup things. The thing that's just even funnier is that these guys are, like, woefully uncool, but that their entire thing uses psychometrics. So they have these, like, parties and whatever where they just, like, pretty much, like, crunch your data, like, of your brain and try to, like, see if you guys get along or whatever, you know? And
it sounds cool to me. There's a SciTech dinner party. You fill out a survey.
Yep.
I'm going to do it.
Yep.
And I'll let you guys know how it goes. All right. We should also say that this is not far from my apartment and only about a 20-minute walk from where the PPI office is that we discussed with Josh a couple episodes back.
The neoliberal think tank.
I think this is all connected.
Rob always comes in with this is all connected.
Yeah, this is like the Operation Gladio of startups and neoliberal grifting and whatnot.
So I guess I can also describe one little thing which I don't think we've mentioned. I think we kind of thought it was a given because it's a startup flat, but this is a co-living space as well as like just a bunch. Okay, so. Have you ever
finally a squad I can get into?
There,
let's go.
This is another thing I was thinking. This is like the weird, like Yuli FTP equivalent of a squat. This is what they think a squat is or should be. This is a squat that fills into their politics, but it is a co-living space where not only are you in a co-living space, like a horrible new creation or rebranding of like a thing that Engels got sad about.
We don't like making Engels sad on this show.
We don't like making Engels, but it is like it just reminds me of like this is the modern equivalent of when Engels went to Manchester and saw the people living in the poor houses.
Yeah. But you're rich and you're a fucking tech bro.
Yeah, but you're not rich enough though, because it's always like these co-living spaces charge what should be a normal rent for you have to share a kitchen with like 5 other guys who are really into Bitcoin. Because at the other side of this as well is it's merged the co-living space idea with where you also work. Because you're like one guy, scrappy guy, trying to get your startup off the ground for like, what if we put like, I don't know, what were some of your suggestions that you did on your vision board wall, Nick?
Yeah, I had. I can read them off to you. I was very proud of these. One of them may or may not be stolen from Kieran. We're not going to get into that. So I had on my vision board. I hope that everyone at home also made a vision board. I have Lola Bunny, startup ? Yes ! And then this one does not in any way sound familiar to what another host on the show has suggested before, a soup tap. But can you put the soup on the blockchain? So the tap you would have in your house, but access to it would obviously then be done through some fucking shady ass, you have to have like whatever the equivalent of like the wallet is, and you would be paid in maybe soup. I don't know. Still working it out. Liquid pizza, also blockchain. And then putting sex on the blockchain is also my final. And the last one was obviously Bitcoin ? Because I'm smart.
Yeah, so like all of this kind of like combined in that one space. They also have house parties, which you can apply to go to the house parties. Which
I really
who's
want
ready for some?
to.
Who's ready for some fucking gumshoe journalism?
I'm already filling out the form.
All we have to do, so what really annoyed me about that video is the guy who explains things to you. I think his name was Jan, who explains what this all was wearing what I was wearing, and I felt very seen and heard. He was just wearing like a black t-shirt tucked into like black jeans with a brown belt. I'm like, God damn it. All right, I guess I can blend in. I can be Diane Fossey, and these are my gorillas, and the fucking startup flat is my mist. But yeah, so like, and I think Rob also kind of hinted at this, but all of this is like tied to really dodgy, possibly has their basis in eugenics, psychometrics shit. So, like, whenever someone's name came up on the video, it would be, like, their name on the Chiron, and then underneath, their fucking Myers-Briggs test score. Like, ENTJ, or whatever the fuck, ENTJ. I don't know how they correspond, but I do know the Myers-Briggs test was deeply racist in its foundation. I don't know if they've, like, done a patch update to make it not racist and not really eugenics-y sounding. We measure your brain pan so that you can come live in the...
This is kind of the thing of just don't leave Germans by themselves for too long, because they just revert to this bullshit nonstop, and they think it's like the sickest shit ever. Like, yeah, you're absolutely right. This is a form of eugenics. And using eugenics, psychometrics, or the fuck it's called, to then determine who's allowed to live with you or who come to your parties is like the easiest road to fascism, if that already isn't the ideology that you like pretty much adhere to, or you're a transhumanist or whatever the fuck these like weirdos always are, that are just coded different versions of fascism, So
the whole thing is very scam-like, because like these are supposedly meant to be like tech-savvy individuals and whatnot, but like most of them are... A lot of people think that like startups are founded by like people who learn programming or whatever, but most often are not. Startups are founded by like the sons of very upper middle class people who think their idea is so good. Like they're all usually business majors who are trying to shortcut their way into being the CEO of something, because they can be CEO before they turn 30 or whatever.
Hell yeah!
And you can.
That's just a fucking can-do attitude that we as socialists and communists don't have.
We lack that,
yeah,
for sure.
I mean, on their website...
That lobe of our brain.
On their website, hosted by Jan, so you know it's real, they have a meetup, What is Anarchy? An Intellectual Party. Which, that sounds great. I'm going to go and talk about seasteading and blockchain and democracies.
They have a fucking seasteading thing.
They love seasteading.
All right.
They also had a live call from the cruise, from the... Hold on, let me get the phrasing correct. The crypto cruise ship, the MS Satoshi, and it just sounds. I gotta say, you know what I mean. I'm trying to be a neutral observer. I got one side telling me, oh, you're a fascist. I got the other side saying, hey, come hang out and play games with us. And I got to say, I'm going to fill out the form and, maybe they'll accept me.
Yeah, I like
how it goes.
The cruise ship thing of just like very much like reminiscent of just like, what if like Scientology but Bitcoin?
I really, really, really want to go to their anarchy dinner party and just start like going off about Kropotkin.
So have you read the bread book? And they're like, oh no, they're all just like weirdo fucking objectivists or whatever, and they're just like, oh yeah, like I love Murray Rothbard or whatever the fuck. Or
I'd be really into Nick if you went full like Stalinist on them. It's like you're all just like sex obsessed, not working. You keep starting fires. You're ruining the Russian Revolution.
Oh yeah, no, I'm again, yes, I would absolutely do that. So I'm looking at the video one more time, just kind of a quick over, and there's like things that then either I've noticed or been pointed out to me by friends, and we also watched this on the Trash Future stream a few nights ago.
Did? God damn it, I missed that.
You missed it. It's not my fault that I decided that you decided to kill an entire bottle of what was it like ice cream,
cookie dough
rum. Yeah. So
yes,
the first thing is that they have their logo like written at the top. It says Freedom 35, but for some reason, in weird German fashion, it looks like the font that's over the gas chambers at like every concentration camp.
Sick.
Well, that's. They just like the font. It's a complete coincidence.
They're always
I just love writing everything in black letter. Oh, they're just like they're meal prepping as well.
Yeah, and the throwing, like just like tossing.
Everything's getting thrown in this apartment.
Yeah. Sie stedding Max frei.
Oh no!
And there's just like the Post-it notes everywhere. Yeah, throwing like the highway signs also like California 1, like the PCH.
Well, that is the saddest thing. I mean, you mentioned the Yulis, but like I think it's sadder than that because the Yulis, at least, they're more like the equivalent of like nerds who are like, whoa, I'm a political nerd in Germany. Like they're gonna climb the ranks, Like I don't know if they line up politically, but they're. Whether they acknowledge it or not, their idol is like I've been in the U.S. too long. I blanked on his name. The dorky kid in the CDU.
Oh, Philipp Amthor.
Yeah, exactly. Amthor.
Yeah,
I almost said Armin Laschet, the other guy. Yeah, Philipp Amthor. And these guys are more like I was born. I was a German boy. I was born in the wrong country. They're like the YouTube commenters. They wish that they could go to Silicon Valley, and some of them do. Yeah. And then they're like, "I'm going to invent the next great app." They talk about like the next big thing, the same way that people talk about like, "Oh, Legit's the next big thing." And it's like, really, is it the next big thing, or are you just looking for something to pass the time?
Yeah, I love the like multiple paintings of Louis Armstrong in their house.
There was a sale, and you had to buy in bulk.
Well, that's like Louis Armstrong is the ultimate like I care about
joke.
Like, cultural history.
No fucking joke. This dude literally just has blockchain written on a whiteboard with a fucking question mark.
Yes, it's so good.
I see democracy on blockchain. I can't do the voice.
So going back to the whole like these people aren't probably very tech savvy people, is that their website relies on like the free Google Forms thing to fill out. Like if you want to go to the Freedom 35 dinner party, which are these like actual in-person things? Are you trying to do in-person events right now? Because that's not kosher. But like that's all being done via fucking Google Forms, which is like if you were a tech person, you'd be able to bang out like a form on your website in like 5 minutes.
They're the ideas guys, Kieran. That's not their thing.
Yeah, exactly. They think they're the ideas guys. They can't make things. A lot of these people just have to be saying blockchain, not really knowing that like blockchain is like kind of dead in the startup scene.
Blockchain,
now. Like
swag, blockchain, swag, like blockchain.
Insight into Kieran's life, I'm familiar with like startups to a certain extent because my career has been a cursed travesty. But the like if you're a startup that includes blockchain on your like your pitch to angels investors and stuff like that. There was a point before like 2019 or so where that would get you money. But then New Year's 2019, like all the blockchain stuff collapsed, and now it's like considered poison if your startup pitch has blockchain written on. Like, it's you saying blockchain to a bunch of people who don't, like, as someone who doesn't understand blockchain to a bunch of people who don't understand blockchain.
My
but
girl
like, all
on the blockchain. Swag.
All the investors know that that's like fucking poison now, and they're not going to invest in that. So, and getting back to the thirst thing, yeah, the second question in any of these forums is like, what is your gender? And this isn't a like woke list. It's like male, female. I guess they have another option.
I think it's just because Google automatically gives you the other option.
It's possibly that, but they're looking for women to come.
Yeah.
And
best thing also too. Sorry, I'm going looking at the video one more time. Above his room, I think our boy's name is Jan, is it not? Or
I believe so. Yes.
He does have haters gonna hate. See you at 6:30. I don't know what that means. Over his bedroom.
Where he does all his works.
Yeah.
All right. So, hobbies, interests, and passions. I have to fill that out. What would you be doing in 15 years if everything goes perfectly according to plan? Jesus.
Leading the Cultural Revolution.
Seasteading.
The answer to all these questions is seasteading. Who is your role model, seasteaders?
I'm just curious. Do they have because you know about like the so it's like Scientology has that boat that like goes. I don't know if it still goes around the world, but they have like the Scientology cruise ship, and they had like a jazz band on board that would like release a shit ton of music. Like, do they have something like that? Like, can I offer up my services of like I will play bass in the seasteading cruise ship band that then is going to release these like blockchain albums or whatever? Like,
yeah, can you come along and be like, I'm going to make the first blockchain in-house label for Freedom 35?
That would go so horribly wrong.
I know, but like they would accept that pitch.
Oh God, imagine selling a record label as being like, yeah, it's on the blockchain. Oh my God, that's what I'm gonna write them. That's what I'm gonna write them. Holy shit! I'm filling out the form, and I'm gonna do the first ever blockchain record label.
Why do you want to come to this party? I want to discuss seasteading with like-minded people.
I was just gonna put because it'd be funny. Honesty is the best policy.
That's good, Rob. Seriously, some gumshoe journalism needs to happen at this fucking party. Honestly, though, I really get the feeling that we need like an Instagram model to go on our behalf, because like I get the impression from all these guys that anyone of that kind of like caliber or that forward or confident in their own looks would just get accepted instantly by these people. The whole thing feels very thirsty.
Yeah. Well, if you are an Instagram model and you do listen to our show, we are just kind of like, yelling out into the darkness, I think. Let us know, and we will hook you up with a quarter Späti wire so you can go to this party.
What we want you to do is to go and report back on what it was like. We'd also like to hope that we're not sending you to your death in some capacity.
Yeah. Which is why we need to have a wire so that we can monitor not, them, but your safety.
Do you believe in free will? Yes, no, not sure.
Oh God, this is like the Justin Bieber contract that he makes everyone sign before he goes to a party. That then like anything that happens, like it's like a what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas sort of clause that he has. That then everyone who goes to a Justin Bieber event has to sign, so that then he can't be liable for anything.
I really like the idea that like I'm really hoping at the end when I fill out this form, it will tell me which person in Startup House I am, like which character from Startup House I am. You're such a Jan, like for fuck's sake.
Yeah, there is only Jan. The thing that then also like just on one last note about these guys is that this whole video of them really like the kind of vibe that it gives me is the like Derek Zoolander Center for kids who can't read good and want to learn to do other stuff good too thing. It's so not well made, and it seems like a parody within itself that it can only like I can only watch it as like, oh hey, do you want to be a startup boy? Like like there is no other way of looking at this, but they think that they're like actually that they think they're actually cool. And
that is the tragedy here, isn't it?
yeah, it is really, yeah, like it is, yeah.
This is a really good parody if you knew you were doing a parody.
Yeah. It is the Derek Zoolander Center for Kids Who Can't Read Good. It is that, but it's a startup now.
God damn it. This is what they've taken from us. That would have been like, back in the 90s, post like end of history type of thing. These things would have been funded by like one eccentric model with a shit ton of money. But now it's all just like angel finance, like overly financialized.
I thought you were about to say angels and airwaves. I'm like, oh no,
it's angels and airwaves. Yeah, fuck it. That does lead me to the question of like, where the fuck is this money coming from? Like, how have they managed to like buy? Unless they're not like are they the Hapt meter? Is there a landlord involved in this?
I bet that it's that like one of their dads owns the place and they're probably like renting it. I mean, like, because I think it is a sense that then maybe it's that they came into this apartment through someone in their family. I mean, it's not. Yeah. It's a nice apartment. Don't get me wrong, but it isn't like it could have been something that then was just like. I mean, they like that. One of them has to have be wealthy, and one like this Jan dude obviously gives off like the vibe of like probably wealthy background, just dumb dude who can just like never fuck up in his life because he'll always have a safety net. So it has to be some thing like that, like someone in the apartment, either like their parents own it or it's like part of like their grandparents owned it, like.
Now that you pointed out that like so many paintings of Louis Armstrong, I can't stop seeing. It's like a fun game.
I'm into music, guys. So who do you like?
Yeah.
It's just Louis Armstrong.
Louis Armstrong is the like ultimate like I'm into music guy who's not really into music.
Yeah. I mean, come on, at least like get into like John Coltrane. Like at least have be a little bit more experimental. Fucking nerd.
God, this sucks so much. I hate this.
Yeah.
But we have to get in. We have to go. Yeah. I think Rob might be ahead of us on this.
Yeah,
we have to go.
We're going to try a variety of tactics and see what works.
Yeah, because it's just a Google form. There's no fucking security.
Oh yeah, that's the thing too, is that they also like don't give a shit about like data security shit, which is like such fucking scumbag.
Yeah.
Like they even say in their videos, like, "Oh, your data? Well, fuck it, whatever. We don't care." It's like, oh, okay, like you guys are psychos,
Well, that is like sicko mode German liberal.
Yeah,
it's just like you're the same as every other German liberal.
Yeah, Datenschutz, yeah, 9.
Do I dare say fick it? Oh.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, you're right. That is absolutely a German going sicko mode. Is just like not caring about their Datenschutz. Yeah, fucking like Jürgen, like 38 years old, like horrible receding hairline, but just doesn't give a shit about his Datenschutz.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
I don't even like. I use the same password for everything. Going mad, sicko German mode.
Oh yeah, well,
password for everything is seasteading.
I if there isn't anything else, then yeah, I guess welcome to 2021. Welcome to year 0.
Welcome to the good year.
Yeah,
everything's gonna be good.
Everything's
now.
Gonna be good. There is gonna be no repercussions of 2020 that bleed over into this year at all. Germany will not go back to the Schwarze Null as fast as it possibly can. Living our best lives, and yeah, if you guys got nothing else to say or shout out or whatever, then yeah, we'll see you guys then next week. Take care.
Ciao, ciao.
On to the next one.